In the beginning of time, there was only water, no sky, no land, no boundaries, only an endless, formless whole, a primordial reality called Tiamat. Tiamat symbolized origin itself. She was existence before form, life before distinction. Everything that would later exist emerged from her, God's creation order, all born from her body, the source of everything. In this state, nothing was separate, nothing stood on its own, everything belonged. But as the story unfolded, something started to shift. She created new beings within herself, children, we might say. At first, they belonged entirely. There was no sense of self apart from the whole that held them. Everything remained inside her. Everything was contained. Yet, over time, this unity could not remain unchanged. Her children began to differentiate. They no longer existed only within her, but as themselves. They began to draw boundaries, however faint, between what was theirs and what was not, just like Adam and Eve did upon gaining consciousness. Separation arose, harmony broke. What was once all-embracing became threatened. The mother who gave birth now resisted what was being born. Tiamat transformed. She turned into a dragon, a destroyer. She became devouring, brutal, terrible. Because absolute unity cannot tolerate separation. Conflict arose and turned into war. Creation against creator. It was the brave son Marduk who stood up, fought, and ultimately killed his own mother. Order emerged only when her absolute unity was broken. The world was formed from what remained of her. Her children had become conscious and free. This is not a misogynistic fairy tale. It's a psychological map. It's not a story about gods, but about mothers and sons. And it has survived for over 4,000 years for a reason. Because this dynamic did not remain confined to myth. It kept reappearing in stories, in families, and eventually in modern psychology. Carl Jung was among the first to recognize that figures like Tiamat were not characters, but recurring archetypes. Patterns that have been shaping human experience across cultures and generations. Erich Neumann, a student of Jung, deepened this insight in The Great Mother. He described the maternal archetype as fundamentally ambivalent. One phase nurtures, the other divorce. And in postmodern societies, Jordan Peterson observed this pattern becoming visible as never before. The terrible mother simply represents the shadow of motherhood. Care without limits, protection without autonomy, love without freedom. She's the witch in Hansel and Gretel. She feeds the children, tends them, keeps them close, until care turns into captivity and nourishment becomes a trap. What shelters can also restrict. What nurtures can also suppress growth. What gives life can also prevent it from unfolding. She's not dangerous because she hates her child. She's dangerous because she cannot let them leave. Bondage without chains. Love that binds where separation is refused. Her protection becomes control. Her safety turns into obsession. And her comfort suffocates growth. This is how many boys grow up loved, yet never fully become whole. Because a boy does not become a man by only being loved. He becomes a man only by leaving his home, a place where he can no longer grow. Becoming something of your own requires risking the loss of love, approval, and belonging. This is the hero's journey, the Odyssey, the alchemist, Siddhartha. They left their safe home as boys. Out in the world they struggle, through obstacles, loneliness, failures. They are forced to grow, forced to become whole. And only then do they return to the same place, but no longer the same man. This is the part overprotective postmodernists, aka helicopter parents, struggle to realize. The mother-child bond is meant to be temporary. In fact, it is meant to be broken. It exists to give life, not to define it forever. Though when separation is framed as betrayal, independence becomes guilt. When autonomy threatens attachment, the boy learns to shrink himself in order to remain loved. Yes, he may grow older, he may comply, perform, function within society, but inwardly, he remains tethered, and because his own authority, never fully formed, dependent on external approval from women. This is why the archetype matters. As Jordan Peterson puts it, chaos must be confronted, not retreated from. Order, responsibility, structure, self-authorship is what rescues the individual from regression into unconsciousness. What protects you too much will eventually imprison you. Not because it is cruel, but because it refuses to release you into life. Many men nowadays are not broken. They are overprotected. They were loved, but never released. Held, but never tested. Kept safe long past the moment safety should have ended. They learned to stay agreeable instead of becoming dangerous. Compliant instead of competent. Dependent instead of sovereign. They mistake comfort for intimacy and attachment for love. They call it loyalty when it's fear, kindness when it's avoidance, maturity when it's resignation. They live close to home, emotionally, psychologically, existentially, and wonder why desire fades, why purpose feels empty, why life never quite begins. A boy can live like this, a man cannot. And until the mother's left, not in bitterness, but in truth, his life will never be his own.